I would do whatever I could just to be able to lie and manipulate away from it. All right, so let's talk about cheating for a moment. So one thing that I've interacted with people with one-on-ones and things like that I've heard several times is people saying, like, I can't believe they would cheat on me because, like, they didn't have any time. Like, they didn't have any time to cheat on me. Like, they were with me, like, 24/7, or they were with me all the time except for when they're at their job, or et cetera, et cetera. And they start saying, like, I don't even see how it's possible. And we start talking about it, or they start researching, or they start figuring out, like, in the relationship, like, oh, like, this person actually did cheat because they said they were going to their job and they actually didn't. They went to someone else's house. Or they said they had this long commute to get someplace else and they weren't. They were actually with someone else. And all of a sudden they start realizing, like, wait a second, like, if a person wants to cheat, they're gonna cheat. Like, no matter what. Like, it's going to happen. But a lot of times we don't want to believe that. We don't want to have that in our mind. So we try to justify and explain it away of, like, hey, there's no way that this could happen. I was talking to someone the other day that they didn't think that this was even a possibility until they started realizing, and they actually had someone contact them. And they're like, hey, do you know this is going on? Because of the fact that the narcissist was going to work and the person thought they were at work, but then they were going out and having affairs with other people, other lunch dates, all this type of stuff that was going on throughout the day, and they never had a clue. And I'm not saying this to, like, make people paranoid or anything like that, but, you know, at times you might have had in the relationship that you're with your narcissist kind of like a gut feeling of, like, maybe he's cheating on me, or maybe she's starting to see someone else, because, like, the responses are different, the interactions different, the affection's different, the texting, the calling, everything is like something seems off. And a lot of times when something seems off, a lot of times it's your intuition or your ideas or just noticing, like, patterns of things that's happening. And you're like, wait a second, like, something is a little bit different. Sometimes the narcissist will actually use those patterns to be able to cheat more effectively. And this is where it gets a little crazy, is sometimes a narcissist will have patterns and habits that over a period of time seem like everything is going to happen the exact same way. They go to work at this time, they get off at this time, they stop at the store at this time, they, you know, et cetera, et cetera. They might have, like, certain habits. And so then I hear from other people when they're finding out about these cheating relationships happening, like outside of their relationship or outside of their marriage, of the narcissist is very habitual in communicating a certain way. Like, they said this at this time, they said this at this time. Well, unbeknownst to them, is whenever they communicated those things, they were with someone else. They were in bed with someone else. And all this type of stuff, like, ends up trying to keep the facade of there being an actual relationship, there being a real relationship, when the person who's cheating is all over the place with multiple different people at multiple different times, all over the place. And with cheating, a lot of times we want to be able to justify it. Like, not justify what they're doing, but in the abusive relationship, a lot of times the person who's on the other side doesn't want to believe it. They want to justify, like, oh, well, maybe they're just hanging out with friends, or maybe they're just, you know, this type of relationship. And a lot of times you'll see them defend them. You'll see them defend the thought, the feeling of what it might be going on. Sometimes that's purposeful on, like, the narcissist side, where they actually try to manipulate, try to encourage, you know, the empath or the other person in the relationship being the one to actually stick up for them and to defend them at different times. Other times it just might be because the other person doesn't want to believe it, that it's even a possibility. Like, no, that can't be right. Like, they can't be a possibility that they're actually cheating on me, when deep inside, like, they know something's off, something's different. That was something that I experienced in my life. You know, I experienced the aspect that I was in a relationship with my wife, while at the same time I was cheating on her with other people that I met at work, that I got involved in an emotional affair. It turned into a physical affair. And my wife at times would have those moments of, wait a second, something's wrong. Like, he's acting different. He's interacting with me different. He's showing affection or, like, loving on me different. And there'd be moments where she would accuse me of it. She would just say, like, oh, you're cheating, or, like, oh, like, I think there's something going on, or I think you're too close to this person, or different things like that. And every time I would try my best to be able to distract her, to to be able to get her focus away from that. So it might be like accusing her of something, might be getting upset, might be raging. I would try to be able to gaslight her of like, that didn't happen. Like, you have a completely skewed perspective of the situation, or like, that's just your own opinion, but like everybody else is saying this, like it's not that. Or like, I would do whatever I could just to be able to lie and manipulate away from it. To the point at times where there would be moments where she or other people that knew me were actually coming to my defense about other people bringing up an issue. So with where I worked, like I interacted with a lot of different people. A lot of different people saw me in different aspects, and there was, rumors. There's things going around of like, oh, like maybe this is happening. Like, oh, maybe this is happening. And as a result, like there would be other people who would come to my defense and be like, no, like that can't be happening because he's not like that, or he doesn't do that, and all these type of things would happen. And as a result, people didn't want to believe it. Why would someone want to believe it? Because people shouldn't be doing that, obviously. But that would be what would happen, is a narcissist sometimes will have people in their lives where they've manipulated, they've gaslit so much that those people ignore the red flags, ignore the gut instinct, ignore the thoughts that's actually going on. And as a result, they in turn are trying to justify, like explain it away in one sense, or they're actually coming out and they're saying like, no, like this isn't happening, like y'all are wrong. And in talking with different people, like they start to realize that as they start to cut through the lies that the narcissist told, they start to cut through the lies of what the relationship actually was, and they start to realize like, no, like this actually did happen. Like this was wrong, and this was awful, and this is disgusting a lot of times, of the narcissist going out, cheating, and coming back and acting like everything was normal. Like there was no difference. And they start to see through different aspects, through different things that get revealed, through accounts, through people, through different things they've seen, whatever it might be, of like, no, like this was actually a real thing that happened. You see, because normally times we want to say like, hey, it's not possible, it's not happening. Well, a lot of times it is. In a narcissistic or an abusive relationship or a toxic relationship, when that partner starts changing things up, or when that partner is acting different, or like in a narcissistic relationship, when they start like accusing you of cheating, oftentimes those are little red flags of, hey, something's going on. It might be another affair. It might be another cheating aspect. It might be an emotional affair. It might be whatever it is, this might be actually going on. Another thing with cheating that I found it like really interesting, especially just seeing like correlations and seeing like a lot of patterns and repetitions, is several people talking about their narcissistic relationships, and when they found out about it, when they found out where they talked to the person that they were cheating with, when they talked to another person who didn't even realize that they were married or didn't even realize that they were together, and you start realizing like, hey, they had like completely separate lives, they start seeing like that they're doing the same exact thing. So I had someone who I was talking to the other day that was like, I really think that my narcissist just viewed me as an object and the other individual as an object, and as a result, everything was interchangeable. The communication, the style, the love bombing, the interactions, the sex, like everything like that was just completely interchangeable. Of like, I'll get it from this person or I'll get it from this person. Like that's what the other person said, like as they were just looking back at their narcissistic relationship. And what they started to realize is after the narcissist left and they actually compared notes with the other person who had no clue about them at all, they started realizing that they were literally getting told the same exact thing. And he was saying one thing to one girl and he was saying the same thing to the other girl. And she was talking to me about it, and she was like, that's really disgusting and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, yeah, like totally get that. And she was like, why would he do that? And I was like, honestly, from a narcissist perspective and from a former cheater's perspective, like doing that makes it very easy and makes it very clear to be able to keep the lies simple. Because as a narcissist, as a cheater, when you're in that type of environment, you're trying to keep all the pieces from unraveling. And it can unravel at any second when someone discovers this, or when someone says this, or someone contacts this person. And so as a result, you're trying to keep everything as close to the truth as possible or as interchangeable as possible. So if you can communicate the same information to one person as you do the other person, then when you bring it up randomly in conversation, you don't get in trouble for someone to be like, you never told me that. Be like, yeah, I did. I told you. Oh, wait, that was the other person. So you have to be, so like that's something that a narcissist or just someone in a cheating, lying, abusive, toxic relationship in one sense actually enjoys doing and realizes like, hey, this is the best way to do it. So a lot of times I've seen people, like I said, with that one-on-one, I've seen people like interact and say like, hey, it's very similar. Like literally she told me the same thing as she told this guy, and like back and forth. And it's just it's surprising, it's surprising for a lot of people to think that. But from the opposite side, like it makes sense. It makes logical sense of, hey, it's a lot easier to say, one truth, a lie to this person, and then the same lie to this person. Then you don't have to remember which lie you told which person. Anyways, that's what I had today. I just wanted to talk a little bit about cheating, and I feel like just that subject in general, I could talk a ton more about and could have like lots of different splices about it. But yeah, just wanted to talk to you a little bit about that. If you're interested in talking like one-on-one, I'm here to promote awareness about narcissism, but then also just to help provide healing, change, and growth for a lot of different people, either getting out of an abusive relationship or they're still stuck in one. They're not sure like what to do, how to navigate, how to change like their thought process of dealing with a trauma bond or the lies that they've been put through, all the manipulation. If you're interested in that, please reach out. Would love to talk to you. So you can click on the website down below. So rawmotivations.com, click on the one-on-one. We can grab a time just to be able to sit down and chat and be able to see like what's actually going on. How can I help? How can we work on some closure, some healing, anything like that? If you're listening to this on Apple Podcast or Spotify, like thank you so much. Just give a rating. That way we can try to spread this news and this message to more people out there. Thank you.